Hello, it's Adam with Tech.AV Club. We're in Vegas Pro 17 and we're going to talk about 10 quick tips that will help you just edit better and have a more fun time while you're doing it. So first off, sometimes you want just the video, sometimes you want the audio, and sometimes you want both because a lot of clips come with audio and video. If you're in the Explorer tab, you can find any of your video footage and just click and drag it down to the timeline. A lot of you know that, but what you might not know, if you right click it and hold right click as you drag it to the timeline, you can actually select add video only and add video across time to just get the video. Or I'm going to hit Control Z and show you again. If you right click and drag it, you can actually hit audio only, add audio across time, and just import the audio, and that can save you a few steps. The second tip is for L and J cuts. What you want to do is, with an L cut or a J cut, that's the shape of the two clips you're putting together, where an L cut will have more audio. For example, this would be an L cut and this would be a J cut. If you're wanting them to fit together like a puzzle piece, giving you some audio or video leader and giving you a more seamless transition. Sometimes, a lot of times, people, to make those cuts, you go down here and you click ignore event override, and then you would move it, and then you would click ignore event override again to make sure that your audio and video stay together, because if you leave that connected, it'll get out of sync. I'm going to hit Control Z there and then undo that. But if you just hit Shift, you can actually hold Shift and move just one, either your audio or your video, without affecting the other and without making them unsynced or unjoined as a group. So that is a great quick way to do L and J cuts just by holding Shift. Similar to the last tip, you can actually override snapping by holding Shift as well, and see how these clips no longer have the blue line appear, and I can have a more exact placement. And then when you let go of Shift, snapping comes right back. So be careful if you move that clip again. But that is a way to override snapping just real fast for that one little moment you need to. So the fourth tip involves changing fade types. You know, you can do a fade by grabbing the corner and fading video or audio, having a fade in or fade out, or even a crossfade. But you can actually right click that fade once it's created and go to fade type at the top of the drop out menu, and you can select any sort of fade that you need, one that has different types of curves where it'll fade out at different rates throughout the fade, so it's not just a standard fade anymore. And you can get a ton of extra options instead of just a standard crossfade. If you're selecting another crossfade, you get pretty much every single option possible there, so you can really dial in on the kind of fade you're looking for. Another quick tip that I find really helpful is if you're messing with video level values, or if you're messing with rate values and things like that, sometimes getting it right back to 0 is a little difficult. Sometimes it isn't, sometimes it is, especially if you've got a smaller window there. It's hard to stop right on 1. But if you want to get it back to normal, all you have to do is double click on any of these sliders here, and that will bring the value back to the default value, which I find super handy. Another one that I thought I should mention, if you haven't ever used this and if you haven't heard of this, you definitely need to. All you have to do is hit Control Z and you can undo any previous action. So if you've added something to the timeline you don't want, you've created a crossfade you don't want, you've accidentally slipped your whole timeline, and you don't want that to happen, all you have to do is hit Control Z and you can correct it. Another quick one is going to have its own tutorial. I have a tutorial for it, but I'm going to do an updated version for auto ripple. And what people do is they forget that if you, let's say we want these two clips to crossfade. I got a little nonsensical edit here I'm doing, but let's say I want these two clips to crossfade. Now with that crossfade, I've created a gap in my timeline. So what if I hit Control Z like we just talked about to go back, and then before I did that I hit auto ripple, this little button down here. What auto ripple will do is I can actually make a change, and everything behind it, all those changes will ripple through the timeline. So now I don't have to individually move. Doing it without auto ripple, I would have to individually move each piece of the timeline, and when you have a complex edit, that can really add up the amount of time you're spending on it. So if you're not using auto ripple, you need to use it. So if you need to create a slideshow or add a whole bunch of photos or even do a claymation, there's a quick and easy way to do it without having to sit there and import each photo individually. All you have to do is go to Insert. Now, if you're a subscriber, we've already talked about this, but Insert, Slideshow, and then you'll get this window right here. And then you can just hit Add Pictures, and then you can get all sorts of pictures. That's from another tutorial we've done. And then you can go to Settings, and let's say you can you want each picture to be on for 5 seconds at a time. You can set a different effect, and you can make it overlap by a second each. And you can just start at cursor too. You don't even have to start at the beginning. And there's a whole tutorial about this I'll link here, but to do it in more detailed ways. But that's essentially just a quick way to create a slideshow. And now I got a little slideshow of these creepy faces from my Bilbo tutorial. So there you go. So here's a fun one that I actually would like to use more often. You can see right here where it gives you the exact cursor position for the timeline. You can actually manipulate that cursor position. So let's say I wanted the cursor to move up 12 frames. All I need to do is double click on this and hit plus 12, and then it would move 12 frames. Let me zoom in so you can see that a little better. You can do it the same way with minus. If I hit minus 50 frames, then it would move back 50 frames of video. And you can do that with any time code. You can move up seconds, hours, in hours. It goes hours, minutes, seconds, frames. And you can even do subframes with it. So this quick tips is actually something I see questions on all the time. Somebody's told me, oh no, I've happened to minimize or get all my tracks out of whack where you've resized your tracks and now they're all funky, and you want to get them all to the same value. All you have to do is hit the tilde key. It's the key under the escape key and above the tab key on your keyboard. You hit the tilde key, and look, if you hit it one time, they'll all go minimal. And that's great because you can hit the tilde key and you can now see your whole timeline really easily, especially if you've got a lot of tracks. And if you hit Control tilde, you'll actually return all the tracks back to their default state. So very quickly, you can go to smaller tracks or all default tracks where all of your customized movements or your inability to see your tracks will have been corrected. So that's a quick way to fix that. Alright, so that was my top 10 quick tips, and I thank you so much for watching this video. We've got so many more Vegas Pro tutorials coming out. I've got a Movie Studios version of this as well. Thanks for watching. If you buy any Vegas stuff through my affiliates link, that helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you're looking for more. Like if this video helped you out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.